Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you're a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. I am Erica Sacoccio. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are one of my loyal listeners, you know what's up. I love you. I want to give a few shout outs. Georgia on my mind all the time. You guys just so support our channel. So thank you so much. Also, our friends in New South Wales, our friends in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, our little friends in Rhody, Indiana, Minnesota, New York, Iowa, Massachusetts. No matter where you're listening from, you know we love you. In Texas, I cannot wait. I'm counting the days, just a couple days till I am in the big old state of Texas. This will be my third trip to Texas, and y'all do it bigger there. And I cannot wait to connect with Tim and Rashawn and all of the Texas Child Care Association people for their wicked spring conference. So thank you. All right, Erica, stop rambling on. I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry. I have been talking with my friends Kate and Carrie. I talk about them a lot as well. And we were just at the National Child Care Association, sitting at the table with Rashawn and with Holly Elise Bruno, who is just an absolute legend in the ECE field. And we were just talking about conferences in general and voices and who gets on the stages. And I said, you know what? I think I want to do an episode today about it. I've thought about the number of conferences that I've attended over the last 2 years with the podcast, the workshops that I've sat in, the speakers I've listened to, and even the podcast episodes that have played in my ears while I'm driving between schools or sitting late at home, reflecting on the day. Something keeps coming back to me, something that feels bigger than just a moment of reflection. I think we need to make room for new voices in early childhood education, not just the same old familiar voices that we already know, right? And you know the names, I don't need to say them. Not the same names at every conference, on every schedule. And I'm not being a hater. I really am not. Those people are great. They're there for a reason. But I think the new educators, new perspectives, new energy, and most important, real voices from classrooms happening right now. Because early childhood education is not static. It's alive. And it's changing every day. And the voices we hear should reflect that reality. Now, there's something powerful about hearing someone who's still in it, still in the classroom, still figuring things out, still trying strategies in real time. And that's why making room matters. Making room means not waiting for someone to arrive before they speak, not limiting expertise to titles or years of experience, not assuming only certain people belong on the stage. It means recognizing that expertise exists everywhere. In classrooms, in childcare centers, in Head Start programs, in family childcare homes, and every educator showing up for the children every single day. Now, listen, there's something that my niece said that just always makes me laugh. And she was talking about licensing regulators. And she said, Auntie, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. So again, no matter how experienced someone looks on stage, no matter how polished the speaker sounds, no matter how confident a presenter appears, we're all human, and we're all still learning, and we're all good at something. And I want you to really sit with that, because you are good at something too. Maybe it's supporting children through big emotions. Maybe it's building strong relationships with families. Maybe it's creating calm routines in chaotic classrooms. Maybe it's just seeing the child behind the behavior. That's really a good one. That is expertise. That is knowledge, and that's worth sharing. Now, let's talk honestly for a moment. Why do so many educators hesitate when it comes to speaking or presenting or stepping into a workshop facilitation? It's not because they don't know anything. It's because they think, I'm not experienced enough, or someone else is better than me, or I need more credential, or what if I mess up? But the truth is, public speaking isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And the field does not need more perfection. It needs more authenticity. We need educators who can say, this worked in my classroom. Or even better yet, being bold and say, this didn't go as planned. Here's what I adjusted and why. Here's what I learned from the children. That is what people remember. That is what changes the practice. Now, if you don't see yourself represented, there might be a reason. And I want to ask you something important. If you look at conference panels, workshops, and you don't see speakers who look like you or sound like you or come from your kind of classroom experience, is it because they don't exist? Of course not. Or is it because they haven't stepped up forward? They haven't stepped forward yet. I think that could be it. Because sometimes visibility isn't about absence, it's about opportunity. And maybe the opportunity is waiting for you to step forward, to put your hat in the ring. Not because you're fully ready, but because your experience deserves that space. And I'm going to give you a real life example right now. My friend Arlette, who is amazing. She used to be one of my staff members, and she has grown far beyond my program. She'll be at the conference this year, and she went to the conference last year. And she came up to me and she said, Erica, this was an amazing conference. I would love to recommend this to my friends. Here's why I can't. None of the sessions were in Spanish. And I typically am with Spanish-speaking or primarily Spanish-speaking educators. And they would have loved this opportunity. They would have loved to come to your conference, but you didn't have anything. And I looked at her and I said, Arlette, you're 100% right. And can I also tell you, Arlette, that of the 68 RFPs I got, not one of them was from a Spanish-speaking individual. See, it wasn't my lack of willing to have a Spanish-speaking presentation. I think that's a wonderful idea, but nobody had put their hat in the ring. So I want you to think about that. If you're not seeing people who look like you, sound like you, maybe they're not putting their hat in the ring, or maybe they're only selecting to speak at certain conferences and not diversifying. See, diversity, I feel like it has to go both ways. You have to reach out and people have to be willing to accept as well. And so this year, she hooked me up with a translator who will be translating in 5 sessions. And she's also speaking. So again, just to kind of drive my point home, is it wasn't my lack of or wanting to, but it was the opportunity wasn't there for me as a conference planner to select somebody who was speaking Spanish. But this year we have fixed that. So let's slow down and let's make it real. If you are thinking, maybe I could present, maybe I could speak, maybe I could share my work, let's talk about exactly where you start. First, I want you to notice what you already know. Stop by looking at your classroom, your routines, your challenges, and your strengths, and ask yourself, what do other educators always ask me for help with? What problems have I solved more than once? What strategies do I rely on daily? That's your starting point. What are the things you're really good at? For years and years and years, I have always loved leadership. I've always been a leader. Well, I guess that's a lie. I was a manager first and then became a leader. But I understand both of those principles and both of the attributes that managers have and need and what leaders have and need. And I have been able to flush that out over 27 years. Choose one clear topic, not 5, not a full curriculum, just one example, right? Maybe it's managing big emotions in a preschool classroom. Maybe it's creating predictable routines for young children. Maybe it's supporting challenging behaviors with connection or building strong family relationships. But keep it simple and keep it focused. Step 3 is turn your experience into a story. Every strong presentation starts with a real experience. Think about what happened in my classroom or my program. What was the challenge? What did I try? And what changed? Your story is your teaching tool. And start speaking before you feel ready. It's important. Practice out loud, in your classroom, to a colleague, in a staff meeting, even recording yourself on the phone. You don't become confident first. You become confident through practice. Now, my family can tell you this very truthfully. As I was sitting on the airplane on my way to PodFest, and I was a little nervous about, speaking at PodFest, because I'm like, oh my God, like this is like the place, the go-to place for podcasters. And I got to step on the stage and talk about consistency. And I kept talking over and over as I'm sitting in the airplane seat, saying my speech out loud. Not loud, so it was obnoxious, but I looked like I was talking to myself. And my sister looked at me and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm practicing my speech." And she said, "You look like you're talking to yourself." I said, "Well, that's because I am." And so that's okay. I didn't care what other people were thinking. right? You'll do it in the shower. You'll do it in your room. You'll do it in your classroom. You do it anyway. You do it in your car. But practice. The more you practice, the better you get at it. The more you tell your story, the more you fine tune it. You get to a point where your story is so impactful, people can't help but sit up and notice. They are sitting on every word. Last conference I was at in Tennessee, I told my story, which so many of you already know, about the time that I thought I was going to die in the playground. And as I told that story, ironically, the workshop was about bringing joy to your program. And so many people in that room were hanging on every word. There were 3 or 4 people who were literally in tears because they felt the message. They didn't hear the message. They felt the message. And so the better you get at your story, the more you fine tune it, the more you talk, the more you give your passion to it, it becomes alive. Step number 5 is start small and start local. You do not need a national conference to start. You can start at staff meetings. You can start at your school PD days. You can start at local early childhood networks. Certainly reach out to your state's AEYC. There are community childcare groups. There are small business childcare groups, but small rooms build strong speakers. I spoke for years in those small rooms, and I am proud of that. Step number 6 is build a simple workshop structure. You don't need anything fancy. A simple flow works. Your introduction or your story, the challenge, the strategy, how it worked in real life, the reflection or the takeaway. Honestly, that's enough. Step number 7 is practice consistently over perfection. One strong workshop is better than waiting for 10 perfect ones. Just make one, start with one and refine it and use it over and over again until it becomes a signature workshop or presentation that only you can deliver in that way. And step number 8, say yes before you feel fully ready. Opportunities often come before confidence, so say yes to it. Say yes to those small speaking opportunities, those classroom sharing sessions, peer learning groups. You grow into it by doing it, not by thinking about it, not by waiting, not by wanting. You have to do it. And step number 9 is connect with other educators because this field is built on relationships. Talk to other teachers, other directors, other coaches, other trainers. Maybe speaking opportunities come from simple conversations. Like the next conference you go to, meet other directors, meet other conference planners. But get out of your comfort zone and start introducing yourself. And honestly, you are what you say and you are what you believe. If you introduce yourself as a speaker, you're a speaker. Step number 10 is focus on impact, not performance. Ask yourself, will this help another educator tomorrow in their classroom? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. I watched Simon Sinek, and he talks about giving. And he talks about earning, possibly you'll earn a standing ovation, but he talks about giving. In your workshop, your speech should be about giving, not taking. And I don't want to take credit for that. This is something he says, but it really it strikes a chord with me. It really does strike a chord. I'm there to share and give information, not to get more followers, not to have somebody join my group, not to have me go to their center and do a workshop. Sure, if I do a great job, those things will naturally happen. But I'm originally there to give value. And so you're there to give value. And so bring the best value that you have. So let's add something important here. Becoming a presenter is not about becoming a different person. It's about amplifying who you already are. You are not leaving the classroom behind. You're bringing the classroom with you. So the truth is, early childhood education does not need more information. It needs more truth. It needs more real stories, more lived experiences from educators who are willing to say, this is what I tried, this is what happened, this is what I learned. So if you've been thinking about stepping into your speaking, this is your reminder not to be perfect, not to wait, but to begin. Because the field doesn't just need new ideas, it needs new voices. And one of those might just be yours. Because someone, somewhere, needs to hear exactly what you've lived through. So thanks for listening today. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with another educator who has something important to say but hasn't stepped forward yet. Until next time, keep teaching, keep growing, and keep sharing your story. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Child Care Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacoscio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.